Search engine optimization is one of the most wanted services for small business owners, but is also one of the most misunderstood. It's no secret that if you can get good rankings in the search engines, it will change your business. In this video, I'm going to go over some simple on-site search engine optimization tips that will help you start getting results. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Digital Marketing Podcast. In this episode, we are talking about simple on-site search engine optimization tips that are going to help get you better results in the search engines. So before we dive into these tips, let's talk about how the search engines work. Just a quick high-level overview. So what you have is you have your website that's hosted on the internet, and it is comprised of multiple pages, most likely. So your homepage, about page, service pages, product pages, about page, contact page, all of these different pages. So then you have search engines such as, we'll just take Google. Google and the search engines have these what we call robots or spiders that go and crawl the web. Kind of like the Matrix, right? They're out there crawling the web and they're looking for these web pages. They come across your web page and they say, hey, okay, here's this web page. Now let's start looking at the information on this page. And what we want to know is, what is this page about? So it's going to look at certain things. And that's what we're going to go over, these things that it's going to look at. So it's going to look at all of these different things in the code and on your web page, and it's going to say, okay, I've gathered all of this information, and now I'm going to go and save it into my database. And that's what this page is about. That's its relevance. That's what we're classifying this page as, and we're moving on to the next page on your site or on someone else's site. So it indexes pages independently. Right? Okay. So that's basically the functionality of how it works. So now that it has this database of all of these pages, now a user comes to Google and they want to search for a chiropractor, and they're going to put in the search, terms, chiropractor near me, or the best chiropractor for back pain, or whatever they're going to put in. So now it's going to take that search phrase and it's going to go into its database and it's going to look for all of the indexed pages that have that topic, that relevance to that search. And then it's going to say, okay, here are the thousands of pages we have for this search, and now we're going to rank them in order of what we feel is most relevant to this individual based on what they've searched in the past, their location, and probably some more information that we may not know. But it's going to look at all of this stuff and it's going to give that user the best results that it can. That's what we call the SERP, the search engine result page. So when you want to rank...
Could you say that again? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay. Turn that off. Okay. So when you want to rank in your search engines, you want to create a page that is relevant to the searches that people are going to search to find you. All right. So that's the quick overview of how search engines work. There's a couple different parts in the search engines. You have what you've always had, these organic search engine results, right? You have paid results, and then you have local results. So let's just knock out the paid results. The paid results are the ones that say paid or ads, and they're at the very top and the very bottom of each search result page. They're clearly marked ads. You know they're ads. They're there. We see them. We know. That's it. Okay. Then we have right below that what we call the local SEO results. So typically these are for local searches. So a chiropractor near me would pull up a local result, or chiropractors with the for the best chiropractors for back pain or whatever. That's going to probably pull up a local search, which is going to then pull up the map and the top 3, which is called the 3-pack. So that is your local results. And then you have your organic results. That is the rest of everything else on page 1 and then page 2 and then all the way to page whatever, 10, 20. Okay, so obviously your goal is to get onto page 1 in the organic results. We're talking organic results here, not paid results, not local SEO. So what are the items that Google is looking at when it comes to on-site SEO, and what can you do to improve your chances of showing up on that first page? The first thing that it's going to look at is your meta tags. And I say the first thing, it doesn't necessarily mean this is an order of what it looks at, but the first thing we're going to cover is the meta tags. So the meta tags are basically your title and your descriptions. Used to be keywords, that doesn't exist anymore. That was years and years and years ago. So the title. So what is the title? So the title is basically in your HTML code it has like a title front and a back tag of the title tag. And that also shows in the browser tab. It also shows in the search results, the big bold text, the title of that search result. That's the title tag. And it really takes that into great importance of, what this page is about. So having your keyword phrase in that title tag is going to make a huge difference. You want to have your keyword phrase in there. You want to have it in the beginning. You want to try to have it in there naturally. So that's the title tag. The next one is the description tag. Again, this is the an HTML tag, which starts and ends with a description, front and end tag, and it's basically more of like a paragraph of 100 and I don't know off the top of my head, 100, let's say just 150 characters of what this page is about, right? So what this shows up in is in the search results of the description, right? So when you search something, you have that title, and then you have the little paragraph underneath, right? The few sentences underneath that. So that's the description tag. These are all classified as meta tags. And in the description tag, you also want to have in your keywords and have them in naturally. And then also you want to make sure that this content is readable by humans and is going to be enticing to a human to click on, as well as include the keywords that you're trying to optimize this page for. That's your meta tags. When you think about these keyword phrases for your page, you should have one focus keyword phrase and then 2 to 3 secondary phrases. They should all tie to the same theme and be about the same thing. So if we're optimizing a page for custom web design in Phoenix, that is our main, custom web design is our main keyword that we're optimizing for, and we might have some variations of that, just web design or web designers in Phoenix, or, we're gonna have some variations of what that would tie into that keyword. What we wanna do is make sure that the keyword has a focused keyword phrase. So we know as we're writing content, we're creating these descriptions and these tags, we know what keyword phrase we're trying to optimize for. If you don't know that, then you don't know what you're optimizing the page for. So you want to make sure you have that clearly defined. And then create these tags and create this content. Okay, the next thing to look at on the on-page items is the URL. So let's say your URL is liquiddigital.com/what, right? So if this page is about custom web design, then our URL should have custom web design in the URL. So that is another factor that it takes into look. So these aren't definitive. Like these aren't just like, okay, if you get these 3 things or these little lists that you got it all. This is just the top things. Google looks at a lot of different things and they always change their algorithm, but these are the things that have always been in place. So the URL, making sure that you have your keyword phrase in the URL. Okay, the next thing is your headings. So when we talk about headings, what we're talking about is the copy, the verbiage on the page. So when you scan a page, you have like a big title at the top, and then you have maybe some subtitles, about that content. So if we look at the structure of a page, we would have our main heading at the top, and it would be, let's keep the custom web design theme going. So let's say the top keyword phrase at the very top is custom web design. And then our maybe our next subheading is some variation of web design, benefits of a custom website, or the features of our custom designed websites. So you know what I mean? So we're incorporating custom designed websites into our headings, and it's still readable to a human person that's reading this page. Said that weird, human person. So that's your headings. So the important piece of the headings is the code that is wrapped around the text. So we call these the heading tags: H1, H2, H3, all the way down to typically like H6. Rarely do you get to H6, but think of it as an outline, a structure. If you were to take the content and put it into like an essay format, and you had to like bullet point out the topic of this page, you would have your main title. That's your H1 tag. Speaking to H1s, you only want one H1 tag per page. You do not want two or any more than one. Just one H1 tag. So there are tools out there where you can go do a heading tag or finder, and it's going to tell you, and it's going to scan your site and tell you what your heading tags are. You want to make sure you only have one heading tag per page, because that is going to tell Google that this is what this page is about. Your H2s and your H3s should be a hierarchy of the content, and it should include your keyword phrase, as we were just talking. So those are your heading tags. You can have as many H2 tags, and you can have as many H3 tags, you can have as many H4 tags, but you typically want to try to think about nesting them, right? So just like in an outline, you have an H1, then you have an H2, then inside of that H2 you have, H3s, and then you have another H2, and then some H3s, whatever, right? So the big thing to take away from the headings is to include your keywords naturally, and to only have one heading tag, one H1, on your page, and it should and needs to include your main keyword phrase. All right, heading tags. Woo. All right, the next thing is the body copy. Okay, so this is where a lot of times people get a little carried away. So what you don't want to do with the body copy is the verbiage on the page, right? So what you don't want to do is just unnaturally just stuff a bunch of keywords repeatedly into this, or put in keywords and like mask them so you can't see them, but you want Google to see them. That doesn't work either. So that stuff is going to actually get your site not ranking. What you want to do is naturally work in your keyword phrases and your alternate keyword phrases into your copy. You need to write for people to read it, not for robots to read it. That's the most important thing. Include your keywords where you can, but make sure that your verbiage is written best for an actual person to be able to read it and consume the content. The more content you can have on your page that's about this topic of that page, the better. Google loves content. So the more content you have, the better off you are. However, you want to make sure that it's not so much content that the reader is overwhelmed and just leaves. So there's a little bit of a balance there, but that's the body copy. Okay, the next thing is images. You definitely want to have images on your site, and they need to be optimized. Check out our previous podcast to learn all about the images on your website and what to do with them. We'll recap it again here, but basically you want to make sure that the file size of your images is small, and I recommend 100 kilobytes or less if you can get it there. As small as you can get it, right? That's the better, without losing visible quality. So get the file size down. Also, you want to make sure that you're using your keyword phrase in the alt text and in the file name. The alt text does have a purpose, and that is for screen readers. So what you don't want to do is just keyword stuff your alt text so that it makes the screen readers useless. For accessibility reasons, you want people using screen readers to be able to read your web page and know what that that image is about. So basically what it's going to do, that screen reader is going to say, it's going to look at the alt text and say, this is what the image is about, because they can't see the image. So if you just have a bunch of keyword stuff in there, it's useless. So you don't want to do that. But if you can describe what the image is about and naturally put in your keyword, that's the best case scenario. So yeah, that's your images. And again, if you want to learn more about optimizing your images, then go check out our previous podcast or video, and we talk all about the images. Okay, so some other items to look at when you are optimizing your website, that is the responsiveness. So the responsive or mobile friendliness of your website. So a lot of times these days, when you start to create a website on a website builder or a WordPress theme, it's going to come already responsive. Like these days, it's hard to find something that isn't responsive. But what they aren't is mobile optimized. So as you start adding in your content, as things start to squish together, how does that look? Are things getting too close? Are they resizing properly? That is optimizing. So it's one thing just to have a responsive website that breaks down into the different screen sizes. It's another thing to make sure that your site is optimized for mobile, making sure it loads fast, which is actually the next item. But that things, are properly sizing down so the site can be consumed easily on a mobile device. So making sure it's responsive. Google looks at this. It also looks at the loading speed. So if your site takes a really long time to load, then you want to fix that. So using things such as a caching plugin will definitely help. That helps with the loading speed. Resizing your images down. If you have videos, there's some different techniques to make your video smaller or to load once they're clicked on or whatever. So there's a bunch of different things you can do with that, but making your site load faster. Most of the time, it's your images. Okay, and the next thing is to create a sitemap and submit it to the search engines. Typically, let's just talk Google. This is done with, if you're using WordPress, a Yoast SEO plugin or any SEO plugin, it creates a sitemap. A sitemap is basically a outline structure of you telling the robots what pages you want indexed. So you're basically instructing the robots when they come to your site to say, hey, here are the pages I want you to check out and to index, and here are the pages I want you to ignore. So basically it's telling the robots where to go. That is done for Google Webmaster Tools. So you will create this sitemap with this plugin, and then you upload the sitemap to Google Webmaster Tools, and you have to verify your site and link it together. Though it walks you through it. It's pretty easy, but Google Webmaster Tools. So submit your sitemap to Google, and that is definitely going to help you out. All right, so that is the simple on-site search engine optimization tips that's going to start getting you better search results. Give these a try. Give it a few months and let's see where you're at. If you have questions, let me know. I would love to hear your comments. If you find this valuable, please leave us a review. That helps other people find us, and please share it with your friends. We'll see you in the next episode.